What is up, everybody? This is going to be the repair video for the truck. This is going to be uploaded after the reveal video gets released because I want to release a reveal video with a vehicle that runs and drives right. So I'm going to record this beforehand, get the truck fixed, and then do the reveal video and then upload the reveal first and then upload this video. Show you guys what we've got up here for it. So we got some brake fluid, and then I got a new water pump because these things are notorious for water pump issues. The bearing in that pump's out. This is a junkyard pump I grabbed, 12 bucks, better than the 75 they wanted for one at AutoZone. So I've got that sitting here. I've also got the gasket laying down there for it. Oil and oil filter. Of course, this thing's sat for a long time. Its oil in there is probably 2-3 years old. It needs changed. And then I got a radio. This thing's got some ancient Jensen radio in it that might be dead, even though it might be a ground issue as well, because I found a ground wire just kind of chilling. So I'm going to install that. Yeah, that's everything I've got here for it. First thing it needs done, of course, is water pump. That is the biggest thing preventing me from being able to go anywhere. It still works, but the bearings are out and it shifts and wobbles and does all kinds of scary stuff. To get to the water pump, since I can't get the fan off, I'm not going to even try. I'm going to have to pull the radiator out. So what's going to happen is, of course, drain all the coolant out, take the top hose off, and then disconnect the fan shroud, disconnect this line right here, and then there's 2 bolts on one side and 1 on the other, I think, or there might just be 1 bolt on either side of the radiator, and then I should be able to tilt it back, slide it out, and then I'll be able to get this fan shroud pulled up forward enough that I can reach the water pump. I might even be able to pull this all the way out, we'll see, but at least be able to pull it forward enough that I can get the water pump loose, pull the water pump out with the fan assembly still on it, and clean the gasket surface, get that thing cleaned up, get the gasket surface on it cleaned up, put the new one on with a fresh gasket, put everything back together. Once that is done, I'm going to do, probably oil change. I might start the truck, run it for a little bit, and then do the oil change so the oil's warm. I might just do it while it's cold. I don't know. And then oil change, and then brake fluid, and that'll be all the really important stuff done. And then I can go get the radio done, and then maybe vacuum the inside of it out. And then I'm going to drive it down later to get the whole thing washed, because this thing is covered in all kinds of crap. Obviously this thing's not pretty. But, the final thing that's going to happen, this ugly bastard's coming off of here. I hate bed caps. I hate them a lot. They're so ugly. And this one is like the ugliest style you can get, where it's got this extra height to it. God, that's so ugly. I hate that. So that's coming off. Both transmission cooler lines are off. Upper hoses are off. Overflow container's disconnected. Cap is off. So now it's time to disconnect the shroud, get it out of the way, and then unbolt the radiator. But the radiator is almost ready to pull. Alright, please excuse the heater noise. But radiator and fan shroud are both out. Radiator came right out once I had the clips and the 2 bolts off of the shroud, and then shroud came right out with a little bit of encouragement. AC condenser did not have to move. None of the throttle cables had to be moved. It came straight up with the fan and everything still bolted in. So now I get to go and undo a couple of coolant hoses and take the belt off. Then I can get all the bolts for the water pump out. You can 100% reach every water pump bolt with the fan still on. That's how I got that one out right there. So I'm gonna get all this stuff off, get the old water pump off, get that gasket surface clean, and then put everything back together in basically reverse order. Okay, the water pump is finally out of here. That took forever. I had 1 bolt that got stuck and I ended up bending it trying to pull it out. That bolt right there I bent trying to pull it out. But here's the old one. You can see the marks where the propeller was scraping the inside of the pump, and if I shake it, the bearing on it is totally destroyed. So the pump is obviously junk, and that's why I've got the new one sitting up on the table to go in. So what I've got to do now is clean the gasket surface, get that one cleaned, go get a new bolt, and start putting everything back together. Alright, new water pump is in, and new belt is on. This is a belt that was originally on my truck, back when my truck still had the AC and the power steering both on it. So this is a good 1.5, 2 years old belt that was sitting in the shed, and it's still in great shape, so I'm going to run it. Looks like it's all good to go. So now I've got to get radiator and fan shroud back in, get top and bottom radiator hoses hooked back up, and then I'm gonna take these power steering lines, cut this really nasty end off, put different hose clamps on them. I'm gonna use fuel injection hose clamps, and then have some fresh hose to clamp onto the radiator because I've got plenty to be able to pull up here yet. So if I cut a little bit off and do that, I won't have to worry about transmission fluid leaks, and then we'll be all good to go. Alright, well, I've got everything put back together up here. Right now I'm draining the oil out so I can do an oil change. Decided to do that before I go and grab my thing of coolant so I can completely fill the coolant system back up. But that's all 100% put together. The tranny lines, I cut them and put fuel injection hose clamps on them so they will not be coming off. Fan shroud and everything is all put back. Radiators bolted in. All the hoses for the coolant are put back. Got the cables up here put back on. One thing I want to show you guys, though, this is the old oil filter. At least it's a Napa, so it's a good one. But if you'll read the date on the bottom, 2/19/13. It means it was February 19th of 2013 was when this oil change was done. Pretty wild. That was 4 years ago. More than 4 years ago was when this oil and this filter was put in this truck, which means the truck's been sitting for about 4 years. I was not lying when I said it was sitting for a long time. The oil is definitely not good, but we'll see just how bad it is when I do finally get it out. All it's going to be left to do is fill it with coolant, brake fluid flush, and then I get to go and put the radio in, and then I get to go and take that stupid bed cap off, empty the bed out because there's only a couple things in there, and then I'm going to take this thing down to the car wash and hose it off real good because, I mean, look at all that. This thing sat for a long time. There's dust all over everything. Alright, it is ready to be fired up. My dad's car might be in the way, so I'll probably have to just let it sit and run, but that's what I want to do anyway. Let's get that door open, pop that door open as well, start it up and let it idle for a little bit. Alright. I don't see any drips down here. That's good. I think that fan is a little bit stiff because it's blowing a lot of air. At least it's running. I'll let it warm up for a little bit. Alright, I am back. I have my antifreeze sitting right there, and you'll notice the bed cap is gone. I got tired of looking at it. The truck was already outside, so I went and I just took it off. It's off. Truck looks way better, and now I'll be able to get in here and vacuum this out. You guys haven't seen this yet. Pretty gross. There's just dirt everywhere. There's an old filter, some paper. That looks like an old dirt shield for a brake rotor. There's a hydraulic lifter just laying right there. I'm gonna get the big stuff out and then I'm gonna vacuum it, and then after that we'll go take it to the car wash and get the rest of it taken care of. But the inside of the bed looks like it's actually in good shape. There's only one spot right there, but that's the only one I've been able to find. There's only one other spot right there where there's some rust, but I think that's from stuff being slid across the top of it, not coming from the bottom up through. And now it's time to flush and bleed the brakes out, but before I do that I'm going to go take a break because I've been working on this thing since 6 this morning and it's now 2 in the afternoon. I'm going to get the brakes bled when I come back out, and then hopefully get to working on the radio, and then I'm going to clean it. Alright, where do we begin? First thing, today is Friday, not Thursday. I started doing all of this work on this Wednesday morning, and now it is Friday. Yesterday, Thursday, I did nothing but put windshield wipers on it and ran around town, picked up a bunch of stuff for it, and then today I finally got to working on it because, of course, my weekend off now, so been able to stay up all day and get some work done. Let's see, I put new spark plugs in. They were all seized really bad, got them all out without breaking anything. Thankfully, I put plenty of anti-seize on them when I put new ones in. New air filter on there. I got the battery thing tightened all the way down, topped off the brake fluid. Wednesday I did bleed them. Don't remember if I talked about that, but I can only bleed the fronts, which is unfortunate because it's the rears that have the giant air pocket in. So I flushed as much fluid out as I could, bled the fronts really well. I've just been driving it, and the pedal's been getting firmer and firmer just from driving it. So I think some of the bubbles have backtracked their way out the top because I did have to top it off just a little bit. Probably not going to worry about getting the rear brakes situated until I put a new rear end in this, because it is the open diff one wheel wonder special 8 1/4 inch rear end, not the limited slip like I was kind of hoping maybe I'd get lucky and it would have. Of course it doesn't. So yeah, that's where I got with that. Picked up a bunch of stuff. Picked up some window cleaners so I can clean the windows. Got some fuel line antifreeze. I seafoamed it. I got the spray can thing, where you raise idle a little bit or open the throttle up a little bit and just spray the aerosol can in for 5 minutes and then do that. So I did that. I've been topping the coolant off after the truck cools down a little bit to fill it up. Oh, let's see, what else did I do? I had to add a lug nut to the front driver's side wheel because it was missing. Put air in all the tires. They were all in good shape except for the right rear, of course, because it has a slow leak. Don't know if I've mentioned that or not, but it does have a slow leak. So I topped it off. It was at like 8 pounds when I put air in it. So it was pretty bad. I removed the little air hose that was here because it was broken. Replaced the one that was right here because it was cracked. Oh, shorter belt. I got a shorter belt for it to bypass the power steering because it doesn't work. So that's, the pump and everything is still there. I'm going to leave it all there because I plan on making it work. But for right now, a shorter belt just so I'm not tearing up a pump, risking having it lock up and shear a belt off or whatever. Who knows what crazy stuff could happen to it. And it's a 76-inch or 76.3 inch belt that I used to bypass the power steering, but keep AC, alternator, crank, and water pump and everything over here. The only thing it doesn't have attached is power steering. In case you're curious, if you're trying to bypass power steering for whatever odd reason, temporarily or something, you want to keep AC, 76.3 inch AutoZone belt, 7 rib. They had one there, put that in, and it's good there. I did vacuum everything out. I did clean the bed out as much as I could. There's still a bunch of gunk in here. Working on the taillight wiring. So the brake light did not work. The running light worked, turn signal worked, brake light did not work. I don't exactly know, actually I do know why. It's because the old socket, so there's supposed to be 3 wires. The other one rusted and fell off. That's the one that runs the brake light. The other 2 run the running lights and the ground for everything. Part stores don't carry Chrysler ones, so I got one that's made for a Ford. Was just testing it, the wires and stuff. Got it wired right, so I'm just going to go use heat shrink crimps to make sure they don't get moisture in them. Slide it in. It fits right into the taillight just fine. It's plastic, so it won't rust. So I'm going to finish getting these lights done. I'm going to go get the radio in. I'll give you guys one more final update. Alright, well this is going to be the end of the video. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys everything that I just finished. First thing, I finished the rear taillight back here like I showed you guys I was working on. I got that new thing in, wired it all up, put it all back together. It's working great. Didn't have to touch anything on that side. Put new bulbs in the license plate light so I don't get pulled over for that. I put a bulb just to see how long it'll last up here, even though plastic's broken, the bulb still works. So put a new bulb in there because I just had one laying around in the house. Put that in there and it works. All the other bulbs work as they should. Got the radio in right there. It is currently on and running. I accidentally busted the mirror out, so I'm gonna have to put that back up there. There's a giant glob or something right there. I'm gonna have to re-glue that. I was trying to clean it and it just popped right off pretty easily, so I guess if I'd hit a big enough bump or something it would have came down on me anyway. This antenna up here does actually work really well. I'm sitting in the garage getting good reception. Clean the windshield off, which is kind of what ended up breaking the mirror off, but that's done. The radio, everything works for the radio except the power supply didn't work, so I put a fuse tap down below in the fuse box and ran that for power. Everything else, the signal, the ground, all the speakers work. This truck has aftermarket speakers in it, not sure what kind or what brand, but they sound good and definitely sound better than what comes stock in this. Ask me how I know. Didn't really do much else on the inside of the truck. Put it all back together after I got the radio in. Yeah, that's all I did. Everything is done. The truck is ready to go. There's a couple little things that I do want to do to it later on. Of course, I need to reglue the mirror back on. I want to clean up the headlights and then I got some lighting upgrades I want to make to it. But as it sits right now, it's ready to drive for quite some time. Everything in it is now functioning properly, and all the little nitpicky things are all out of the way, and truck's ready to go, ready to be daily driven. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure that like button and subscribe. Make sure to come back for more, and I will see you guys later.